Hey, we're live, and myself and the gorgeous Jen Mitchell will be discussing the sadness. A
For a title like The Sadness, Marty, I rather had a lot of fun with it. I wasn't that sad. I was sad that we didn't get a baby rape, but other than that, can't have everything, I suppose. Oh, right, we're on your channel. I'm sorry, darling. I'm sorry.
so yeah, we watched the sadness, and Jen thought it was the funniest romantic comedy she's ever fucking seen.
You say
Uh,
that in jest, but I actually thought the ending I thought was very romantic, and I actually thought it was very funny. I thought there was some parts. This movie has one of the things I really love. One of my big praises for this movie is it has a lot of comedy, very dark comedy, but still comic.
uh, I don't know about that. Hey, DMC says, hey, y'all, Jen Marty. So this pop up on my Shudder subscription. I haven't checked it out yet. I did see Eat the other day about a young actress who develops an appetite for her own flesh.
What?
Yeah, I must check that out. So, quick rundown. Sadness is set in Taiwan. It came out actually in 2021, right, Jen?
Yes, it did. But a lot of people, it just barely hit Shutter very recently, and I think that's why a lot of people are. There's a lot of buzz about this movie. There's been a lot of buzz about this movie since it hit Shutter.
Yeah, the thing is, maybe because of the attack. Oh, hey, American Werewolf in New Jersey. Maybe because of the attack in October 2021, there was a subway attack which resulted in 17 people being injured. Now, I don't know if they referenced that in the movie or if it's sheer coincidence and maybe they held off kind of promoting it. But although, can you promote a movie like this? First off, just it's 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 not for the faint of heart, and it's certainly not for the squeamish. Um, it,
Actually, it's got buckets of blood, but I was expecting it to be a little bit more fucked up, a little bit more. I mean, maybe for normal people, but it does have buckets of blood. I'm not gonna say that, but I was hoping it'd be a little bit more fucked up than it would. It sounds like the comic is a touch more fucked up.
it is. The director is Rob Jabaz, and yeah, he knows his gore and he knows his stuff. A big influence on this movie is a comic called Crossed. Now, I just to give you a quick look what you're like the source material, quote unquote source material is. I just done a bit of a comparison. Now whether or not it'll come up is a whole other kettle of fish, but I digress. So yeah, this is the source material, this comic crossed. And
Nice.
yeah, if you haven't guessed, it's not really. See, there's the bit from the diner I was telling you about, Jen.
Yeah. Pretty nice, pretty
Uh,
solid. Oh, blood orgies! Yay, blood orgies! Like I was telling Marty, blood orgies are great. But if the blood dry, but blood makes great lube unless it starts to dry. But you can just add more blood, right? And then it's nice lube, and you're all slicked up, and you can get into hard to reach places, right, Marty?
so let's just review the movie. Um,
I'm
we
pro
follow
blood orgies.
We follow a young couple by the name of Jim and Kat who
Mm-hmm.
are going through relationship issues. It does. It starts off like very much like a slice of life Asian kind of prime time kind of soap opera thing. She wanted him to book tickets so they could go on holiday. He didn't, and there's a
In
bit of
fairness,
friction
he
there.
had to
But
work. He had to work.
yeah,
And I was telling you, Marty, like, I would be disappointed too. I'm not knocking her for that, but a job's a job and money's money. So she kind of comes off, she's not necessarily a bad person, but she's a little bit of a bitch in this. There's a couple of places where she's kind of a bitchy, kind of a nagger and kind of like, I didn't like her as much as I like Jim, if I'm going to be honest. She was fine. She did some noble things in the middle of the movie, but she was kind of a bitch.
So you had it here, our heroine's a bitch.
Well,
So
she is. She bitches because, most women are just happy you got a job that's a paycheck. And she's like, but it took me all this time. And then she's like, clean up the apartment. And, he's not a bad dude. And she's kind of on his ass. And there's just a few instances where I'm like, I don't like you.
So yeah, like she's a bit naggy, but she seems like a decent sort, and she seems like a loving girlfriend. The two of them, they do have a very warm kind of happy kind of couple kind of
Yeah.
sentiment for you. That was like the fucking
I
mark
told
of death.
I told you, I go, whenever people are happy like this and things are going well in these kind of movies, generally that's when things hit the fan, and pretty much that's when things hit the fan. I really liked this movie. But again, the humor, even though we go into some very dark places, what I really love about this movie is there's just these drops of just super, super dark black humor. Like the bitch ran right out in front of me. I laughed at that. I thought that was rather cute. I'm gonna fuck you to death. I thought that was rather cute, with the guy with the axe, and then when he has sex with her eye hole, I loved the sex with the eye hole, and he said,
Jen, we're jumping the gun here. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the people interested. You gotta whet their appetites.
You're fucking scaring them off the stream. That's what you're doing. But no, the movie starts off very much like kind of slice of life Asian kind of drama, and then Jim, who I think's character was maybe named Cillian Murphy's character in 28 Days Later. Maybe that's a little nod to that. Jim goes out onto the roof of the apartment, and he's talking to his neighbor, Mr. Lee, and he notices there is a woman, an elderly woman in a gown covered in blood, and he calls over to her, and she doesn't pay any heed, and he's like, "Fuck it, I don't know." And in the background, there are subtle kind of hints that there's something going on. There's a virus, and if ever you wanted a kind of a very not so subtle depiction of what society's like under COVID, you got this movie.
Yes.
You think they went a bit too heavy-handed with that, or do you think, what, in this day and age we kind of need that?
I think we need that, Marty, because this is exactly, except for, the subtitles, this is exactly what I've heard, and probably what you've heard, that, at people, friends, family, people you work with, you heard these exact conversations when we were in the thick of the pandemic. And to me, it didn't feel pandering at all. It just felt very authentic. And we've all kind of like a nod to the audience. Like we've been there, done that. We're changing it up a little bit, but basically you people have lived this. We've lived through this before. We'll probably live through this again. And some of the exact one of the conversations they have in the movie, I heard, and I'm sure you have, and everyone has.
What one was that? What conversation was that? What?
When he was talking to his neighbor, and he's like, go, don't you need to go to the hospital? Oh, I don't need to go to the hospital. I've been there. They're just going to tell me to get bed rest. I could be a fucking doctor at this point, and they're not taking the pandemic that seriously. And also, it's it's an election year. They're using this to get people to vote. That I heard people say that, when with the pandemic.
Ivan Lilly actually brought up that statement when she was asked about letting her kids kind of go out without masks and stuff. She goes, "Oh, they drum up something every political season to try and get people's attention," and it's like, what the fuck? No, this is serious. But anyway, the characters, they're very kind of going about their daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people might be like, what the fuck, this is a horror movie. Did you think it was a bit slow at the start? Or
No,
I didn't. I think it was perfect.
Either. I didn't
I
either.
think it
I
was
thought we
perfect
were
setup.
setting stuff up. I thought we were setting stuff up is how I took it. No, I didn't think it was slow. And I knew, like, again, these characters are pretty happy. You know, they kind of have a little tiff, and then he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, babe," and she kind of forgives him. And then the neighbor tells him, "I'll give you some basil out of my garden." You know, the one that doesn't want to go to the doctor. "I'll give you some basil out of my garden," and everybody's happy. And that, for someone who's watched as much horror as you have, as I have, as the audience have, whenever people are happy and everything's going good in these kind of movies, that's when everything turns to shit. You're just waiting, and it's kind of fun to wait for that bucket to drop. And literally, we get hit with a ton of blood. That's how the bucket drops with this. It's just a ton of blood and gore. The effects are gorgeous in this movie. It's beautiful.
The the Jim basically drives Cat to work to the subway station, and as they're passing, they pass by police, and again, minor disturbances, but nothing that is too innocuous or nothing too over the top. And they say their goodbyes, and he decides to stop into a cafe to get a snack.
Mm-hmm.
And this is literally lifted. This scene is literally lifted from the first the first issue of Crossed. This person who's infected goes in and attacks the dude who's working behind the counter, and yeah, big pan of grease, and right on the head, and melts into his face, and she scrapes off his face, and she spits on another guy. I remember you were confused. Did you realize that guy had been infected when he was spat on, or?
It took me a minute, and then it started to click because I was wondering, okay, how do we infect? Is it just through blood? Is it through spit? It kind of reminded me of an AIDS allegory. Blood, spit, semen is basically kind of the
Yeah.
same way you pass this thing. And I thought that was a nice little nod. This movie, one thing I will like about it, it does tread into some political issues and to some other topical issues, but it's never heavy handed, and these characters feel very authentic. Everybody in the movie, they didn't do dumb horror movie decisions. Everybody did things that you feel like, and you run into characters. Some people are brave and noble, and others are little cowering pieces of shit, as we'll see as we go on further in this movie. And I really liked how, as fantastical as this story is, or at least we'd like to think it is, it's also very grounded, and it's never heavy-handed or preachy, which I've got to give it praise, because the temptation is there to do that in these kind of movies, and they don't ever do it. It feels very natural. It flows.
Yeah,
It's likable
what
character for the most
one
part.
did I notice as well at the end, like they're like, oh, you have these people for being idiots at ignoring the virus, and then you the scientist at the end who was like fucking talking a load of waffle and saying, oh, this virus is the most advanced. He almost is in reverence to it, and he's almost like, yeah, fucking, this is the greatest thing ever, and you're like, yeah, this is why you don't trust doctors, because they talk a load of shit and they talk jargon, and then like that's why no one takes you fucking seriously, or no one listens to you, because you don't talk in layman's terms, and
No,
that's why people are like, oh, you're talking down to me. Why should I listen to this person who's talking down to me, who thinks they know better? Like, it's just that's interesting as well. It doesn't base its politics on right or left. It
it
kind of straightens. I don't know. Maybe is that what you were kind of you saw that as well, or did you think?
I did. It's kind of like the movie is an everyman, kind of somewhere not too far left, not too far right, just kind of in the middle, and like, fuck, what are we gonna do? And I liked how when we get a little further, how the politicians, it was a smart nod, but again, it wasn't ramming it down my throat.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's how we all felt during this pandemic with our politicians. Fuck these guys, and then that was very cathartic. What happens to one of their main politicians, as we'll get in further. I really like this. Like I said, it was talking to everybody, but it wasn't talking down, but it wasn't, talking like, oh, you guys are smarter, you guys are dumber. It's a very clever movie in that way, and I really liked it. I really liked it. There was some subtle nods where like, oh, I know what you're doing, movie. You're speaking to me, but you're not dumbing it down. And I like that.
um did the coffee shop scene catch you off guard, or? And I
No,
kind of
I was
ruined it for
waiting.
you.
I was waiting for it. You just knew. You just kind of my body was tingling in that very special way, and I just knew we were going to get into some fucked up shit. And I was like, "Yay!"
Well, you started chuckling when the old woman came after Jim, and then she got plowed by a car, and there's like an infected guy behind the wheel.
And the bitch came out. What was I supposed to do? The bitch came right out in front of me. And that's when I knew. Like, I love it when a movie like this uses humor because they could have tried to make it very dark and very somber and very edgy. But this movie isn't afraid to use humor. And I applaud them for that because it makes the ride that much more enjoyable. And you got to, like, for someone, I tend to use dark humor to kind of cope through life. You appreciated that. I could see people, you know, like smiling, like, that's funny. Whimsy, you know?
I did think there was a funny bit where like one of the infected women, after your man plowed over the woman, the woman in the street, another woman like face plants off a 5-story building. She's like wee laughing as she's going down and just fucking pancakes into the sidewalk. And that's like that shows you how fucked you are. It's like they don't care. Hey, Cara.
Hey, Kara. Hey, Ben Grimm.
Oh, we'll get to that, Ben. We'll get to that.
Marty and I had a conversation about the eyeball.
Oh, you promised me you wouldn't bring that up.
Well, I can't bring it up. I mean, only a guy can get it up to some, you know, if you want
to. Right, moving on. Right, so as Jim is having a bad day, Kat's day isn't going well either. And this is even before the infected strike. She's been hit on by some incel pervert on a train.
Yeah, and again, she kind of like it's hard. Like I can't dog her too much because as a woman, you want to be nice because like you kind of feel sorry for this guy, but on the other hand, you don't want to encourage him too much. And she's trying to sort of be nice, but she kind of gets fed up because he's asking her, "Oh, what are you reading?" and all of this, and she's like, "I appreciate your friendliness, but fuck off, dude." And I think most women can be there. We've all had, you know, unwanted attention where we don't, where you know, just don't. We don't want to talk, dude. And he like says, "Oh, you're a very beautiful woman," and that's very uncomfortable. And they get the scene right. They manage to make before even we get into the horror and the gore of it. They make a very I don't know if you can understand as a guy, Marty, but like you get very uncomfortable when a man that you really don't want to approach you approaches you, and maybe not even in a like rapey kind of way, but you just you got to be nice, and you don't really want to be nice. But if you're nice, if you're not nice, then you're a fucking bitch. It's a hard. And men can just say, "Dude, fuck off." Women can't do that. Some women can do that, but most women, it's kind of a scale. We have to balance it in a lot more way. Where men can go, "Dude, fuck off."
It's definitely a setup and a payoff later on.
Yeah.
And this scene now again, I don't know if it is inspired by in October of 2021, there was a stabbing on the Tokyo rail line. And apparently the guy who stabbed the people actually asked, did he break the record? And that's what happens here. A dude just goes fucking knife crazy. And he's wearing shades, so you can't tell that, like, you know, he's infected. And he's just like fucking just again, it starts off so creepy and subtle. The one guy gets stabbed in the back, and no one pays any heed, and then the guy's like fucking struggling for help, and people brush him off, and then your man goes into a blood frenzy and proceeds to start fucking cutting him and other people.
I love how the car toward the end of the scene, the whole car is just painted in blood. The floor is just covered in blood. I mean, it's beautiful. It's horrific, but in another way, it's kind of, in a weird way, it kind of reminds me of Uncle Argento with all the blood and the gore, and some of them Italians. I mean, they just painted that car from one end to the other, and it's gorgeous. And like you were saying, it was kind of unnerving because, you know, one minute you're going on your life just riding the train, and then the next minute all these people are bleeding from all these places, and it can happen in an instant like that. I mean, and that's something sadly that we all know, you know, things like this have happened, maybe not the infection part, but, you know, things like this have sadly happened, like you brought up and stuff. And so it brings realism and the fantastical, and it merges and makes a beautiful fucking picture if you're a degenerate like me. It was pretty to look at, Marty.
He essentially they managed to overpower the infected guy, but lo and behold, there's more infected, and they don't just start stabbing, they start fucking, they start biting, the train becomes an absolute fucking gore orgy of like
Come on,
pain
ride
and
the
violence.
train. Ride it. That's what I was thinking.
But
Works on a couple levels.
a poor kind of student who sits next to Kat by the name of Molly. Pervo man gets Pervo salary man gets infected and decides to ram his umbrella into her eye.
That's not the only thing he's gonna ram into her eye.
wait.
You set me up for that.
So Kat gets the girl off the train, and like it's an absolute fucking state of carnage. Like, what did you think the effect of Molly getting stabbed in the eye with the umbrella?
It was a good effect, and especially like I thought it was gonna kill. I thought that was kind of interesting because I thought, you know, he didn't go as deep. He didn't go that deep, Marty. His umbrella didn't go that deep, didn't get quite the G spot, so to speak, with her eyeball, you know. And I thought it was going to kill her outright, and I actually thought it worked. It was more effective that it didn't kill her outright because you could see the pain in her face and the agony and the and just the carnage. And I'll give it, even though I didn't particularly like our heroine, I liked how she tried to help her, you know, because a lot of people are just thinking of themselves, fuck everybody else, and it does show that she does have this other side because she doesn't know this person from Adam, yet she stays with her and tries to help her and get her to safety. And it just shows the humanity and how in these situations it can bring out the very best in people and the very worst in people. And, you know, you can't judge a book by its cover. So I liked how they build up this friendship between these two people.
So she gets off the train. Jim goes back to the apartment to get his phone, and Mr. Lee is there. And Mr. Lee decides with a pair of garden shears, I'm gonna fucking take your fingers clean off. Hey, Mr. Bones.
Hey,
he
Mr.
cuts
Bones.
off Jim's poor fingers in an attempt to defend himself. and then the line, what was the line he had as well? Don't worry, I'll finger your girlfriend for you.
Yeah, and he takes his finger, the one that's in, and he pantomimes with it, which is just fucking charming. You know me, I love a good sex putt, and I just was like, oh God, he's got his fingers, and he's talking about fingering his girlfriend. Yay, this is fun, wee!
God damn it,
I mean, what would you do, darling, if we were in this situation and someone cut off one of your fingers and then they said, don't worry, I'll finger Jed? What would you have done?
I would have said, best of luck, mate. Best of fucking luck. You're lucky you get that hand back. But
good luck to you, asshole.
but Jim gets out of the apartment, and there's one scene that drove me fucking nuts. He was starting up his fucking moped, right?
Yeah.
And like he was able to fucking get the moped down like a fucking street that was fairly. Hey, Bones, keep that finger away from my girlfriend. He decides to rev up, of all the locations, he decides to rev up the fucking bike or moped next
where
to some
all these
infected
people are. Yeah. And you were like, fucking just, you were saying, and that is, but then think about it. It's a high pressured situation. You just want to get the fuck out of there. Like maybe your rational brain is saying I should probably be quiet, but there's probably that other, lizard part of your brain that just I want to get the fuck out of here. So I can understand both. I can understand both impulses.
Yeah, it's crazy though. He escapes, and there was a scene that I liked that I wish they would have expanded on. Now maybe they didn't have the budget, but it's a POV over the apartments, and it's him driving down with a fair sized cluster of infected chasing after him. If that had been me, I would have been like, I would have done the whole 28 days later or 28 weeks later with him driving down, keep the POV shot from above, him driving through the streets and have like hundreds of these bastards just pouring out of buildings after him. I don't know. I think there was an opportunity missed there.
It probably was a budgetary thing. I think it was probably, but it's still creepy. Like that shot that you bring that up, that was creepy. Could you imagine all these infected people and you're on this bike and they're not like super fast. They're not like, like some zombies that go super fast, but they do go pretty damn fast. And when you're in that situation, when you're not trying to get any bodily fluid on you, you just want the fuck out. And it is an unnerving scene. Like you put yourself in the guy's shoes and you just want to get the fuck out of there. So it worked on that level, but I do get what you mean. It probably would have been a little bit more foreboding if it had been a lot more people. I get what you mean. Probably
the other thing you bring up a good point as well. You mentioned zombies there. These are able to use weapons. This is interesting. This is more terrifying. One of the reasons Garth Ennis done the Cross comic was he's like, in fairness, a lot of situations we've seen The Walking Dead. If you have half a brain or half a bit clever, you can survive a zombie apocalypse. These aren't zombies. These are people who are fucked in the fucking head. This is basically a viral version of people turning into sociopaths and stuff. It's like, if they're able to use guns, they're able to cause sexual assault, major trauma. These aren't like mindless zombies. In the comic, there's a bunch of them who decide to play a biscuit game. Now, any of you guys who know what varsity football is, there was a tradition of like putting a cookie into a bowl and spanking off, and like the last person to come has to eat the cookie. Well, in the Crossed comic, they put bullets into a bowl and jerked off into them, and that's how they infected people as well. But yeah, no, it's terrifying. It's crazy to fucking think that you have these kind of almost sociopathic kind of monsters, because again, zombies, even fast zombies, like they're dumb. Like, would you categorize this as a zombie movie? Actually, Jen.
In the very basic sense, I wouldn't categorize it. I would liken it to, like, the closest thing I could liken it to is zombies, but it's like you said, it's done way smarter. And the thing that is so scary, because we all have that, lizard side of our brain. Some of them, it comes out more in others, but most of us, probably 85% of us try to repress that most of the time. But we all have those thoughts of like, I want to kill this person. I want to do this to this person. And most of us, it never goes any further than the thoughts in our head. And this disease basically lets all of that out of its cage.
Yeah,
it
and
that's really scary because it could happen to anybody.
Yeah, it enhances the kind of the more darker side of the human psyche.
And we all have it. And we all have it.
We all have potential for it. Like the thing is, if like you'd be fucked in this situation, the planet would be fucked. I mean, some fucking, well, given the current situation. But could you imagine someone from the Pentagon infected like this? Aha! I'm gonna launch all the nukes. Like that's like a fucking zombie can't do that.
But on the plus side, it does give you some interesting ideas to, in the bedroom department. They came up with some kind of fun ideas. I love the one we're about to literally come up to. I didn't shoot my loads yet. Why did you chase them away? I love that.
Okay, Jen, you're okay. So Jim gets out of his town. He's trying to make it to Kat's kind of location, which is a hospital in the city, and along the way, he comes across kind of like a little league team, and they're torturing a dude.
Yeah.
And they've this dude binded up, and
He's
they
like,
put
I'll do
barbed
anything.
wire on a pole, uh, heave-ho him up, and then spread his legs and slam him and his genitals into the fucking pole. And
Yeah!
Jim chases him off. Jim saves the guy and chases him off, and then turns him over to see if he's all right. And then Jen's favorite part, one of Jen's favorite parts in this movie happens.
Yeah, he turns around, he's like, but I didn't get to shoot my load off yet. And I loved it. Right before he chased him off, the kids, there was like 3 kids, well, like teenagers and stuff, and like right before they were gonna do that, they were like, take off his pants. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucking creative, because that way the balls and the dick will really get wrapped around the barbed wire. And I was like, yeah, someone who is writing this gets me. And I was like, my hat's off to you, sir. And I had a blast with that scene. I'm not gonna lie. And then it just made me laugh so much because he
Jen,
says it like a little
is
kid.
it worrying? Is it worrying? Because I knew right well that you were gonna think this is fucking hilarious. Is it worrying that I was
No,
able to predict?
No, I think it's sweet because it means you really know me. You really see the true inside of me, Marty. You
And
see
it scares the living shit out of me.
Oh, come on. I wouldn't. I mean, I can't say if I wasn't affected, I wouldn't do something like that. But, blood orgies. I mean, I think it would be fun. Like, before you killed me, I'd probably already infect you anyway, so we'd have one last blood orgy. Except it'd just be you and me. Like, I'd cut a fucking bitch if they tried to get in our blood orgy. Like, I'd go,
Jen, I'd be worried someone would shoot you before you'd be infected, mistakenly thinking you were infected.
But yeah, but no, that's where I thought the movie had a lot of whimsy, was this scene with the barbed wire and the boys and stuff. And I liked how they ran away for a minute and got rocks and was throwing it at him.
You've heard it here, folks. You've heard it here first, folks. Jen thinks male genital mutilation is whimsy.
I do. And then they were throwing rocks, Marty, like little kids would do. That was very sweet, and it's something that age would think of as rocks. It was sweet.
I believe during that scene, she started shouting out, "They're little infected trenchies," and I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, because Trenchy's always saying, let's throw rocks at them, so it reminded me of Trenchy. It was a compliment.
I'm going to tell Trenchy that.
Well, I think if he was infected, he would probably get a big bag of rocks and throw it at people.
Anywho, we have Kat and Molly trying to get out from under the subway station, and they're being pursued by the infected fucking creeper.
What you reading, guy?
Yes. What you reading? The Bill Hicks joke guy. What you reading for? They're being chased by him, and Molly collapses, and they're temporarily saved by this dude bro. This dude bro turns up, and like fucking, he's like, "Oh, you hurt these women? Try that shoot with me." And fucking, he takes the umbrella off the guy, and you're like, "Yeah, kick his ass." And then your man's like, "Fuck this shit." He bites off the dude's fucking nose.
And again, great blood effects.
They literally rip a panel from the comic of the guy's nose being bitten off.
And it's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. I mean, the blood and the how they do the nose and stuff. It's really cool. I really like that. And I liked how the dude, and again, it shows that this movie really, and it sounds silly maybe, but this movie really gets into like people's heads and how all different, because you walk across all kinds of different people in this movie, and you could imagine like this guy seeing these, little, and there's another funny scene where he's like, because when they run into him and he's kind of gets pissed for a minute, the dude bro does, and he's like, are you blind? Just kind of a hypothetical question. And then he looks down at the girl with the thing on her, and he's like, oh shit, you're blind. Who did this to you? And I think, again, very funny.
It is. Jen, I can't get over how I knew you'd find a couple of scenes funny, but I think you're going to put this down for your best favorite comedy of 2022. Yeah.
I thought it was, well, it was cute. I mean, maybe not under this, but I mean, oh shit! And I liked how the actor emoted on his face. He got that oh shit look, like I just said the worst thing you could possibly say to somebody. Oh shit, you are blind.
The thing I love is the dude, bro. Like fucking, once he gets his nose bitten, he goes down like a sack of spuds. And fucking salary pervert man fucking cracks open a fire axe box, takes out the axe, starts hacking. After the second hack, he stops, looks at the girls, and gives the cheekiest fucking wink. I love that.
I did too. And in his mind, he probably thought, "I'm sexy. I'm fun. This is gonna make them wet their panties if this doesn't do it."
I actually think, yeah, doesn't he actually say that? It's like,
yeah.
Am I making you wet yet, ladies? Like, what the fuck?
That's a hot. You need to do that, Marty. You need to carry around an axe and wink at me and say, "Am I making you wet yet?" That's hot. That's fucking hot.
And this is why I'll never show my mom this channel. I thought
it was a hot line, especially it's all about the delivery. And the axe is a great weapon that needs to be utilized more in horror. It's like a classic. It's like a little black dress. It never goes out of style.
So, anywho, the Molly and Cat make it out of the underground. No thanks to a shitty little motherfucker who's in charge of the rail line.
Yes, and again, that because you saw that one, maybe he was a dude, bro, but he did want to protect these women and stuff, and that's cool. But then you see, and you could totally in these situations, you see the best of people, you see the worst, you see this sniveling little coward, and he gives the excuse, like he pushes down the there's like a garage thing, and he's pushing it down, and Molly and they have to go under this, and they barely make it out, like and stuff, and he's like, oh, they told me to do it, and he's just this sniveling little coward and stuff. Although there is a great shot because there's a little bit of a hole in that, and the axeman, what's your reading guy? There's his tongue like that. Cungalingus! Yay! It made me so happy.
Anywho, they make it to the hospital. But I
mean, it's a great shot, Marty. It's a great shot. I loved it. Fun. It's whimsy. That's the word I keep going back to for this movie. It's fucking whimsy.
This is the great. To Jen, this is the greatest Judd Apatow-esque fucking comedy she's ever fucking seen. Anywho.
It's not often you get to see the childlike side of me, Marty.
Jesus Christ. Anywho, the girls make it to the hospital and they're told that the ER is overrun. And there's police there and they've barricaded people in. And they check Molly with a temperature, the kind of temperature thing. And they're like, okay, we'll bandage you up. And then the president and the Minister for Defense comes on an emergency broadcast. And Jen, do you want to go over this?
Yeah, and everybody, in the hospital room is glued to it and stuff, and you can tell, and they're talking about, and again, it's being a politician, and I heard, like this through the pandemic and stuff, yes, we're basically in a bad way right now, but we're going to come out stronger and greater than ever. They didn't say America, but they might as well have said America and stuff like that, and people are pissed and going, fucking politicians, and this is bullshit, and then the military dude comes back on and he's trying to give a spiel too, and then you notice there's a tear running down, and that's a clue that they're infected, right? And all of a sudden he takes the fucking grenade and takes their president and basically literally blows the guy up, which I'm sure we've all thought about, with no matter what political affiliation you're with, and then people again, this movie has a real psychic into human nature, because you see this, and then the people people are like, now what the fuck are we going to do? And one guy goes, I didn't vote for the prick. He kind of got what he deserved, you know, and it's kind of, you know, it's just and then people are like, you know, freaking out and having a brawl in this emergency room type situation, and it's just shows human nature. I mean, because in these sort of situations, you know, your baser animal comes out, and it's done very tongue in cheek, but there's also a lot of truth. Like they always say, there's a lot of truth in comedy. If it's any good comedy, there's always some truth in it, and there was a lot of truth in this scene. It was handled, but it wasn't preachy and it wasn't pushing it down our throat, and it was fun, but they were still getting a point across. I thought they handled it brilliantly. I thought they handled it brilliantly.
Hey Dino.
Hey Dino.
So fucking there's chaos. But there's chaos on the TV, and there's a bit of a fight breaking out. Also, Cash asks to use the cowardly guy's phone, and it is filled with hentai. It is filled with hentai chicks. And she's like, fuck's sake.
Well, I mean, I can't judge there. I can't judge there, you know.
Hey, focus, you know. Each to their own. But this guy's a sniveling prick. He won't give her the phone at first.
Yeah.
She does go a bit bitchy as well. Your man asks for his phone back, and she threatens to say he raped her.
You know what? But he was such a little. I mean, he did. You know, she almost got killed. They almost got killed and raped because of this asshole. You know, because he just stood there like a little cowering bitch. So that was one time I did give her a pass, because I probably would have done the same thing too. I would have been like, you fucking asshole. You almost got me and my friend here killed and raped by this fucking piece of shit. And you stood there like a little, and I hate cowardly men. You know, that's like a big thing with me. Don't be a little bitch, dude. It's bad enough on a woman. It's even worse on a guy. It's just, don't be a coward. No one should be a cowardly little bitch, you know?
That's right. You heard it here first from my girlfriend. You tell him, Jen. I'll just stand back here.
I have no doubt about where you are, darling. That's why I love you. I have no doubt. But yeah, he's a little bitch, and it's very and again, the movie, like all good movies, you know something's coming with this guy. Like, we're gonna get a good payoff with this little bitch, and we do.
The salary guy, the pervy guy, the Lirin guy, though. What did you nickname him again? The axe
what's
guy?
The reading guy?
The watch reading guy. The Bill Hicks guy turns up, fucking bashes in the door with an axe, kills a cop, and lets a bunch of infected in. The cop's partner, she's raped to death. Everyone is just torn to shreds, and Cat just books it out of there with the guy's phone, and he's like pissed off because like she took my phone. So watch your reading guy rounds the corner, and who's in the wheelchair but Molly?
And before we get to that, we had a scene between Molly and the one girl and stuff, and it was and she's like, I'll never forget what you did. You stayed with me. You saved my life. I'll never. And there's a very poignant scene, which of course is going to alert the audience. Oh, Molly's not long for this world. Whenever a character says something like that, you go, oh, fuck it. It's not going to be pretty, is it? But I gotta give it points how Molly goes out. Oh my God.
Take it away, Jen.
Okay, so what's your reading guy comes up and he's like, where's your pretty friend? And he's like, and he's like, oh, I have plans for you though. And she's sitting there, and you gotta remember, she's got like a thing over her eye because, you know, she's still fucked up. And she's just basically, she knows something's coming. She doesn't put up much of a fight. And so he takes his dick out. But I do have a problem with the movie here because we don't see it. We just see the up above. We don't see him actually taking out his dick and shoving it into her eye hole. He doesn't use her pussy. He uses her eye hole. And like he uses all of her eye fluid, it's lubrication. Which, if you don't have any blood lube, eye lube is the next best thing. In fact, he tells later on in the thing, he goes, her eye fluid is still drying on my dick, which was a charming line. That's my favorite line. Your eye fluid is still dying on my dick. It's amazing. I loved it. I wonder, does eye Like, especially if it gets on a penis.
I'm trying to wonder, will I be able to start a new channel when this one gets shut down? I'm just wondering that.
But no, I mean it's fun, but why didn't they show it, Marty?
Why do you think they didn't show it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they didn't have a problem with some other scenes, and I mean, I think it would have been fun. Like it would have been kind of cool to see a guy stick his dick into an eye socket. I mean, I'd pay $5 to see that. You know, as long as it was a corpse, not a living person, because I'm not a sicko or anything. But if it was a corpse, you know, and the corpse was like donating their body to science, then it could be like a scientific thing. Like, can you get your eye hole pregnant? I don't know, something. But anyway, but I thought it was kind of cool.
Like, do you think she could have jerked him off if she started blinking?
That's what, you know, I wondered that. You know, you say that, and I actually, that thought did cross my mind. Because I was thinking, maybe I need to, like, practice, like, my eye muscles, man. Maybe we've had an untapped thing. You think a pussy feels good, the pussy muscles. Maybe the eye can really grip and caress and get that hard-to-reach spot. You know what I mean?
So, just a warning, the Trash Picture Show is not meant for minors. So, kids, if you're watching this, please tune out and consult your parents.
But yeah, Marty, yeah, you say that, but I actually, that's funny you said that, because that thought.
Moving on, we find out Jim is having kind of hallucinations, and this kind of hints at
that we're not going to get a happy ending with these two. And I asked Marty, I go, is this a premonition? And he just goes, you want to tell me he's infected? Marty got it before I did. He's infected, Jen. Which, it's sad, too, because I really liked Jim. I thought he was a neat guy, and it just seemed a shame that, you know, he didn't do anything wrong, and yet he's going to, you know, have a pretty bad fate coming up down the pike. I actually liked how they did that, but I also thought it was kind of sad.
So Kat rings him. She says, look, I'm at the hospital. He goes, look, I'm going to try and get to you. I'll try and pick you up, find somewhere safe to hide, and we'll see each other soon. Meanwhile, the dickhead who closed off the shutter on the subway and nearly got the two girls raped, he has a run-in with a blood orgy.
Yes, he did blood orgies! Woohoo! And it's great. And they look like, now they do show that when we don't get skull fucking, but they do show that. And there's like 3 people, and one of them's, and she's all covered in blood. Her boobs are all lubed up, and it's still wet, and so everyone's having a good time. And she's going wee on someone's dick, and a guy's behind her, and another girl's behind her, and their boobs are all bloody, and they're rubbing together, and it's fucking beautiful. Blood orgies are the best. As long as the blood doesn't dry.
You know, because the dude was a bit of a perv, he stayed and watched for a moment. Did you notice that as well?
Well, wouldn't everybody? I would.
No.
Hell, I'd fucking get a cat. I'd use my cell phone.
James just there. Nice. He tries to run away, but he runs into Molly, who is using a skull saw, or what the fuck are those? A kind of a special electrical saw for taking off people's skulls, or surgical saw. Surgical saw.
I think it's for used in autopsies. I think bone cutter kind of thing. And again, the humor, because Molly tells him, you know, I've always had trouble making friends. I guess I just needed to find the right kind of friends. And I'm like, again, you charmed me, movie. That was a cute line. This movie really is inspirational. It's about a girl that didn't fit in, and she finally found her people. It's like that Blind Melon video with the bee girl. It's just like that.
Yeah, okay. There's a pretty cool scene where he's kind of pinned down by the blood orgy people, and Molly goes to down him. Do you think that was a reference to Day of the Dead? with
I kind of wondered. I think they were not. You kind of have to nod in these type of movies. You have to nod your head and pay respects, and it was fun. It's a cute little nod. But again, they're not eye fucking you, Marty. They're not making they're not sticking their dick in your eye hole and giving you a good pounding for all they're worth. It's just a nice, hey, we know where we're coming from. We're paying our homage. We're respectful.
So, like, now when someone says, "Hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge," is that foreplay now in in your mind?
Yeah. Hey, Marty.
Put that thing away. Put that thing away.
Hell, like mascara now can be considered like a sexual outfit, although that might stain your dick, so maybe not a good idea. I don't know.
And our viewership dropped
Eyelash
down to 1.
extensions, Marty, eyelash extensions. Think about how good, like those long eyelash
So,
extensions,
what you reading guy
especially if
decides
they're
to
filthy.
follow Cat up the stairs
Marty,
and
silky eyelashes across your dick. How would that feel?
he follows her up the stairs and he looks and sees the fire extinguisher is missing and she fucking blasts him. And then we get a scene to rival Irreversible. She goes to fucking town on his skull with that fire extinguisher.
Yes, she does. She does, and it's again great gore effect. The I have a feeling the effects department was having a blast with this movie, and rightly so. Like they made every drop, every piece of gore count, and I mean it's beautiful to look at. It's fucking beautiful, and I feel like that they didn't have that much of a budget to work at, but they utilized. Sometimes I really think a lack of a budget can be a blessing in the right hands, and this movie is
Yeah.
definitely proof of that.
She kills your man anyway, and she's rescued by the doctor, the virologist who was seen talking in the video at the start of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and he brings her in to what used to be a maternity ward. He tells her take off the clothes, they're infected and stuff, and
Babies.
I struggle to let you talk about no, but not. Mm,
Okay, go ahead, Mark. I can be no, I can be. I'll be very serious and analytical, babies.
fucking. So he, she's taken inside. The doctor reveals that he was studying the virus and he 3D printed himself a gun. Apparently, I didn't know you could do that, but he 3D printed himself a firearm and he holds her
I'm
at
surprised he
gunpoint.
wasn't American. I'm surprised they didn't make him an American doctor.
I don't think this movie could have been any Western release whatsoever. And I'll actually get into the discussion about that later on.
Very cool. Very cool.
Ben Grimm asks, "Did you mean analytical?"
Well, I've always been, always. That's a given.
So he explains to her about the fact that the people, it's their hidden desires that come out, but there's still part of their brain that realizes what they're doing is heinous, and that's why they cry because
And
they realize what they're doing is savage.
And he
And
also thinks like we do, like because she's covered in blood. And I ask you, is she infected now, Marty? And he kind of is wondering that too. And I like how the movie kind of anticipates the audience's question because she's covered from head to toe in blood from what you're reading, guy, and stuff. And
yeah.
you're wondering if she's going to be infected. And he makes her get in the shower and handcuff herself and to wash off the blood. And he's kind of wondering because she's not showing symptoms, and it happens pretty rapidly. And she's not showing any symptoms. And you could almost see a light bulb going off on this dude. Like, I wonder if she might be the one that doesn't get infected.
And that leads up to a bit of a fucked up scene. She's getting rid of her clothes that are covered in gore, and a wailing starts coming from the biohazard waste bin. And there's a baby inside. There's an infected baby.
Now, you said in the comics they fucked the babies, right?
Not in this. Look, we're moving on. We're moving on.
No. know,
He
like,
didn't. He didn't do that. You're totally fucking putting it off the mark. He didn't do that to the babies. What he did was he's kind of gone a bit fucking Victor Frankenstein, and he's trying to find a cure. And
yeah,
he
and he
infected
does
the
want to
babies to
justify
see if they'd
himself.
be
Like,
immune.
yeah, he thought that and stuff, and he figures that these people that are infected are going to get him anyway. These babies are good as dead. He kills these babies and injects them with the or doesn't kill them, but he injects them with the stuff to see if they'll do it. And they all become kind of contaminated. And she hears a wailing in the thing, and he's such a cute little fucker. Like he's got his little eyes, and I am so baby crazy. I am so baby crazy. You know that better than anyone, Marty. And he's just the cutest little fucker. And he's in there, he's wailing, he's got his little devil eyes, and I'm like, don't kill him.
Which is the more? Who do you think was the cuter zombie baby? That one or the one from Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead?
They both were cute, and you can't forget about the Dead Alive baby either. They're just so freaking cute. Like the animatronic baby in this is just darling. Like I want one.
Yeah, Joe, I'll get you that one if you stop fucking asking about us having one.
No, I want us to have one too. I'm baby crazy.
You're just crazy, full stop. That's why we can't have a fucking cage.
Oh, I love that this is all my fault. Like it's only my genetics.
Oh yeah, I'd love to bring Jake on. Hey, Jake, how you doing? Where's your pants? Mom won't give me any. Hey, what are you eating? Fucking mac and cheese because Mom won't make any more dinner.
I'm an exceptional mother, damn it. No, but the animatronics is really amazing, and the could you kill the baby if it was infected, Marty? Like, no kidding, could you kill like a baby if it was
I couldn't
infected?
kill a baby, full stop. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't either. And it was really, it's a cute little fucker. And she's realizing though that the guy has gone completely mad. And not only does he inject the babies, and he's trying to justify, you feel like the guy's gone a little mad. And given the circumstances, you can totally understand.
And keep in mind, this character is not infected.
No, he's not
infected.
But he's just gone crazy. But he injects the woman with some infected blood because he wants to see if she has the antibodies or not. And it's again, it's a scientific mind. So he's thinking this is the best option for what we're dealing with here, because she could potentially save the world. And if she dies, I mean, so many people have died today. What's one more death at the end of looking at it through the long scope? It's how it's how an analytical mind probably would think of it. It really gives you into a fascinating of the human psychic.
He states that there's a military pickup from the roof, and that if she doesn't change, he'll take her with him. Mm-hmm. But if she does change, she's gonna die. She seems to be grand. Unfortunately, Jim turns up at the hospital.
And this is the part, and you're gonna think I'm being funny, but I genuinely thought this was a very romantic and sweet scene between the two of them. I really did.
I think it was the virus. It was his genuine love being fucking manifested by the virus into something.
But he still loved her. He's talking to her and he's saying, "I knew you needed me today, and it was love." And then he goes, "And I'm going to cut your teeth." He's waxing very poetically about how much he loves her and how his need to get to her and how basically he would cross oceans of time. He doesn't say that, but it's very reminiscent of that kind of
thing. Guys, before we move on, I want to point out one thing that I thought was hilarious. So, skull fucking, stabbings on the train. Women putting fucking hot frying oil onto people's faces. Fucking people getting their balls crushed by barbed wire. Jen thought all of this was hilarious. The doctor gets his foot chopped off and vomited on, and she was like, "Ooh! All this shit!
Vomit is heinous to me. Like, I can't see it, and I can't stand to hear people vomit. Like, if I hear someone vomiting, it makes me want to retch. I have have a very, I've gotten better because, as you'll find out later down the road, but I did have a pretty sensitive gag reflex at one time and stuff. And so whenever I hear someone or see someone, it just makes me want to vomit. And fucking audition fucking wrecked me.
But you can understand my fucking amusement. All this carnage you're fucking shooting your arse off at, thinking it's fucking hilarious. And then someone vomits on a severed foot, and you're like, ugh!
Oh, my delicate womanly sensibilities. Ew. Yeah, that just, for some reason, throw up is just one of Jen's triggers. It just, I don't know why. Puking just, ugh. It just, I don't know. It just fucks with me. And it's so gross.
You are adorable for all the messed up reasons. Mr. Bones points out that part reminds me at the very end of Return of the Living Dead, when he says, "You need to let me eat your brains." Yeah, I suppose that's the thing.
Did you find it romantic though? Because I
found it sad. I did. I can see where it comes. I found it sad that this virus not only fucked you up, but it also fucked up your emotions. That this was how he was conveying his love for her, because it had twisted his emotions that much. Do you think she was infected in the end? Because she kind of seemed a bit. She was crying, and then she started laughing and drooling and stuff.
You noticed the drool too. I wondered that, but then again, she has, she's had a hell of a day. I like that it's kind of a very ambiguous ending. The way this movie is, the darker the better. So I don't think her chances are too good. But I could honestly see in the right writer's hands, maybe
Jen, she died. She went up to the gunfire.
Oh, right. I didn't know if she did. Okay. I think she probably was infected because the drool, like that was even like crying's one thing, but the drooling, and I thought, I wonder if you're infected too. So they but see, like if she was infected, I would have like let him, I would have opened, because they've got this door between them, this kind of cage-like thing. If it would have been me, I would have opened the door and I would have like gone into your arms and I would have died with you. But that's me. I'm a romantic. That's what I would have done. I would have wanted to go with you. So like I didn't understand why if she was infected or if she was going to die anyway, then I would have died in your arms. That's how I would have wanted to go.
It would suck. That's like in the Crazies, she's just totally emotional and her mind cracks and she goes up in the helipad and the soldiers are like, this bitch looks fucking insane, and they end up shooting her because they think she's infected.
Again, a nod to Night of the Living Dead. You could say it as
not everyone, nobody makes it out. There's no happy ending. Ironically, the crossed comics, the majority of them have more positive endings than this. They do that at the end of most infected movies I've seen. I watched recently called Yummy. Survivors runs out, only to get gunned down. Okay. I was thinking though, like going back to what I was saying earlier, could you see a Western studio doing this? Could you see a European or English or American studio doing this?
I could see a French studio doing this. I could see a Spanish studio doing this. Not so much America. America's tends to sanitize, and if you guys can have different opinions, but look at the Old Boy remake when Spike Lee finally got his hands on the Old Boy property.
Don't even the Old Boy. Fucking Martyrs.
Yeah, Martyrs. I don't even like to see that one. I just put out of my mind. It's just the one Martyrs. I don't even like to remember that other Martyrs happened. But you're right, and you know what? And I think that you're missing the point if you're going to sanitize the material, because I mean, some people will say, oh, horror is stupid and doesn't have anything to say. Actually, I have always thought this. Horror usually has more to say than most other genres. Now, again, I'm a fan of it, so of course I'm going to think that. But I think it's a lot smarter than some naysayers will say. And in this movie, there was a lot of, and it was done very subtle of hand, very sleight of hand. There was a lot of stuff that I kind of thought to myself, I know exactly what you're saying, and you're not making a big deal of it.
Jane, that was the only subtle fucking thing in the movie. Let's just say that.
But you know what I mean? Like, they made their points, but they didn't ram it down your throat, or your eye hole.
I enjoyed it. Very much like the Cross comic though. You read it once and you're done because
Yeah. But it's a
it
fun ride. It's a fun. I would say that this is a fun, bloody popcorn film. You know, this is fun. But this is, and I would recommend to like a group of friends. This is like you and me. I really enjoyed watching. It's funner to watch it with somebody. Of course, now some people might not enjoy it to my level. You got to be careful who
yes,
you're watching it
those
with.
people those people are called balanced, well balanced and safe people.
They
Um,
ain't no fun, Marty. Yeah, but they ain't no fun.
I'm going to all I'm going to say to you is, Jen, that if you guys are interested in seeing more of this, do check out the comic. Check out the first volume because after that there was a big run of that, but it became more like the Saw franchise and focused less on the characters and more on the fucked up stuff. Psychopath's good because you kind of see that the only person that is perfectly adapted to survive in a world like this is a normal, well, quote unquote, normal serial killer rapist who's a savior of a community. It's just it's such. Ben Grimm wants to know: would this be a good double feature with Sonic 2? Yeah, bring the kids. Bring the kids.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, you know what? I would have loved this at a younger age. I would have been wanted said fuck Sonic. Let's just see this one again. But I still would have written to him and said we should have been able to see the eye hole fucking. Like it does take it down from a 10 to a 9 because we didn't get no eyeball fucking. We didn't get to see it. Although he looked like he was giving it a good pounding. Yes.
Jen, if you show this to Jake before, if you show this to Jake between the next 5 years, I will call services. Okay? Do you understand me?
Fine. I watched this sort of stuff when I was younger than Jake, and I turned out perfectly fine.
Guys,
Blood
if you'd like to leave it a comment that is Jen proof that developmental horror movies can affect developmental, please leave it in the comments below. Would you recommend this to people?
Yes, I think it's a lot of fun. I think it has a little bit to say, not a lot to say, but it does make some really good points. There's a lot. What I don't hear people talking about is this does, like, you got to have maybe kind of Jen sense of humor, but there's a lot of funny bits. There's a lot of really cute, funny little bits in this that just made me go, weed. And I'm not being funny. I'm being legitimate. You saw me, Marty. I cracked up in a few places. I thought it was whimsy and fun. And then when the kids were going, with his chalk on the
Living
barbed wire. Whee! Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun, and that baby was cute. That little baby was cute. The only, like I said, the only thing is, if she said she died anyway, I would have died in your arms. I would have wanted to go out in your arms since we're getting such a bleak thing. I would have been somewhat comforting to go out together. To shut off our motor, like Romeo and Juliet. This is just like Romeo and Juliet.
Except with skull fucking.
Yeah, it's better than Romeo. That's why it's better than Romeo and Juliet. I hope they make a part 2. Hi,
Brian. Hey, Brian.
Blood lube, Brian. Blood lube.
Jesus Christ. Anywho, guys,
I just gotta meet the right people.
if you have a good constitution and fortitude, and you like your gore, check this out. But do not go in thinking this is some plain kind of run-of-the-mill zombie movie, because it is not.
No, but that's what gives it its flavor and stuff. But I didn't find this too upsetting, like I said, except for the throw up scene, just ew. But other than that, it was a good time. But ew.
No, but really, guys, if you're like, well, I watched The Walking Dead, I'm going to be able to watch. No. No.
You had fun with it, darling.
We did have fun. This is not something that I would go back and watch just like I enjoyed the artistry and the message that Irreversible was making, but I don't need to go back and watch that movie again. You know.
I get you. It's fun. It's a good time. I'd recommend it with like-minded friends if you know someone who has a pretty strong cause. Like I said, I didn't think it was that bloody, except for the only thing that got me was the throw up. But then I have a pretty strong, not to toot my own horn, but I have a pretty good constitution for these kind of things. Like I said, I was a little disappointed we didn't get to see his dick go into the eye hole, because I imagine like all the eye gunk, like all the stuff just coating his dick, you know.
Yet vomit is where you draw the line.
Yeah, vomit is just ew. That's just sick, Marty. That's just sick.
Anyway, I think we're going to leave it here. But if you've seen this movie, let us know in the comments below what you think, and hopefully we will be back to be doing Trash Fire soon enough.
What are we going to be doing for our next trash fire? I can't remember, Marty. What are we going to be doing for our next trash fire? I can't seem to remember. What was it?
I want to be the very best. Like no one, for fuck's sake.
We're doing porn! Yay!
And guess what we're doing after?
Not Neil Breen, are we? Watching, but the British are coming. The British are invading on Marty's channel because he is going to be doing a Well Britannia. I'll let you explain. It's your thing, but it's going to be awesome. So definitely check out the Trash Picture Show this Saturday.
Yeah. So basically, in the 1980s in England, the entire decade was like Grave of the Fireflies, but with an entire country. And this was also reflected in the media. So we're going to be discussing why the media was so fucking depressing, what the lads' favorite or kind of most, I don't know, harrowing or dare I say impactful kind of media was on them. We'll be looking at a couple of things, both live action and animated. So we're going to be looking at When the Wind Blows, which is an animation about nuclear war, which we'll be coming back to as well in the stream. We're going to be looking at Plague Dogs. We're going to be looking at, connected to Plague Dogs, we're also going to be looking at The Mad Death. We're also going to be looking at some commercials, some very fucking harrowing commercials with some big actors providing their voices, from John Hurt to Donald Pleasance. And we're going to be looking at the grimmest fucking granddaddy of miserable fucking movie/TV shows to come out of England in the 80s. We're going to be looking at Treads. If you haven't seen Treads, take some Prozac before you watch it. Have you seen Treads, Jen? Or do you know what it's about?
I actually don't, but I will learn on Saturday. But knowing me, you know me, I love downers. You know me, I love a good downer.
Yes, Jen's idea of a happy weekend is curled up with a mug of cocoa and flowers in the fucking attic.
Marty, you're gonna miss me. I bet none of them British people are gonna want to be talking about skull fucking. You're gonna miss me. And I go coating their dick. I bet none of them British people gonna be talking about that. You're gonna miss me.
I would say wash your mouth out with soap, but you can't say wash, so it's all right.
Why don't you put something in my mouth and he'll wash it for me?
I would try, but I don't know what wash is.
Love you, darling.
Anywho, guys, we're gonna fucking dust off, and we hope you had some fun.
Like skull fucking.
With that,
remember, guys, get a girl with long. If you're gonna skull fuck a girl, buy her a pair of those super long.
Anyway, guys, have a good evening. Bye.
Extensions, guys, extensions.
Jesus Christ! I'm gonna be out. Jesus.